All right. So just like your comment said, in your opinion, these are your best. I agree with that. I do think there's some things we can still improve upon, but a much better job. Now your pause, I'd like to see a little longer of a pause. It's still kind of rushed. So, right, we want to think about your dipping, pause, little bit of a forward movement in that pause, right? You can see how you're kind of falling out of line. So making sure when you do this that your back still stays on this line, right? So your knees are going forward, which is fine, but we got to make sure however far the knees go forward, the hips have to go back, right? Because if we only bend our knees forward and they shoot our body mass forward, we're going to be forward. If we only push our hips back, we're going to be too far back. So make sure that you're setting your hips in the slot. They remain back over your heels more, and that's going to bring you back to this teal line. Now, if we look in the first one, I'm noticing also your elbow positioning, right? So your elbow, you're kind of out front, right? And that's the positioning here. So what I'd like to see is less wrist bend. Oh, let's get rid of that line. Less wrist bend, so more on the red. And then the whole arm itself needs to kind of come back more. So what I'm thinking is your wrist has to be a little more stable, and then that elbow, it looks like it's kind of pointed forward in this one. So maybe thinking about when it's extended upwards, instead of having it pointed forward, point it out to the sides. And what that's going to do is create a little bit of internal rotation at the shoulder. So maybe let's try and see what that starts to look like. But right now it almost looks like you're got some double jointed stuff going on here, and your elbow's really bending, and then it's creating that. But instead I'd like to have maybe closer to this line here, elbows turned out towards the walls, and then your wrist will have a slight knock back just because there is some slight extension of the wrist at the top.